Well, a new government is being installed in Canada today, and it enters in a new era, I think, in Canada. People are waiting to see what this government will do. When we look at the refugee crisis, Johnnie, you know, previously the Trudeau government, the Harper government. Yes, that was our previous government. It's only been like, what, 5 minutes?
And I'm an American.
I know, it's so shocking. You know, he had said that he wanted to prioritize religious minorities, not just Christians, but religious minorities, and bring them in first. Justin Trudeau has said he's going to bring in 25,000 refugees before the end of this year. So we're in November. That's very, very close. People are wondering how that's going to happen. We don't know how he's going to prioritize things, but you have some thoughts about, you know, how we should prioritize things. You've been there and you do a lot of work bringing in refugees. What should we be doing?
Yeah, when I wrote my book, Defying ISIS, I went to the region, I researched, I talked to people, and for the longest time, by the way, I was all about keeping Christians in the Middle East, 100% keeping Christians in the Middle East. So we didn't lose the Christian presence. But,
which we are, right?
Which we are.
Yeah.
But now the situation is changing. You know, the church is saying that we have people that need to leave. And so I've kind of changed my position. So I support Christians that are there, but I simultaneously am working on finding safe and legal ways for them to leave. But the tragedy is that most countries in the world haven't taken Christians. They won't allow Christians to come in. They only take people through the UNHCR system, which is fine. It's a wonderful, wonderful system that takes care of millions of people. But the Christians are fairly fearful of the UN camps. And so when countries all around the world just take in UNHCR people, the Christians are sort of ad hoc excluded. And so I've been like beating this drum that we need to prioritize religious minorities.
Well, why are the Christians afraid of the camps? Like, what is the danger there?
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily justified. I mean, it's just that there is a perception that a lot of their neighbors were betrayed them, you know, in this process, and so they're traumatized. They're fearful. You know, and by the way, I don't by any means, you know, in my support of Christians and religious minorities in Iraq and Syria, and providing special treatment to them, mean to make any insult to the Muslim community. In fact, it's the opposite. You know, the Muslim community has lost more lives. They've experienced more chaos. They've lost more of their economic resources. More Muslims have been killed by ISIS and affected by ISIS and other terrorists than any other cultural or religious community.
Wow, people might be surprised to hear that.
No, it's a fact. It's just a fact. I mean, that's what the statistics say. That said, the Islamic community doesn't face the same threat of eradication or genocide, some people would say, as the minority religious communities, like Christians, Yazidis, Kakais, Shabaks, Mandeans. And in my country, by the way, the United States of America, of all of the Syrians we've taken in, we've only taken in 53 Syrian Christians. We've only taken in 1 Yazidi of everyone else. And if you talk to people like the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Los Angeles and Toronto and New York City, they'll tell you, I mean, Christians and other religious minorities are a particular target of these extremists,
and you know,
these terrorists.
When you say religious minorities, you're not just talking about Christians. I mean, Yazidis are a great example. It's really touched my heart. I've really felt like Christians need to do more for them because they're being trafficked. Their women are being raped and tortured and trafficked and sold more than I think any other minority. Am I right in saying that in terms of the Yazidis?
You're exactly right. And it is not immoral or unethical to prioritize religious minorities that face a particular threat in a refugee process. And so we're working all around the world with, in fact, we're working in this country, and we're working with a church large evangelical church in London. We're working with the Archdiocese in Toronto to try and get more Christians into Canada, which has been the single most generous country in the world on this issue. And Canada has the opportunity to save the Christian communities in the Middle East and other religious minority communities that are facing the threat of eradication. And it doesn't mean that you're against Muslims that have been affected by it.
The truth is, we love everyone. When we see those pictures on television, you know, that little boy that died on the beach, which really changed everything, I think, for the world coming around. We care about everyone. We want to help everyone. But we also want to help the people who are under the most threat. And we don't know what this government's going to do, but you can do that work.
No,
right?
I just plead with governments here in the United States and all around the world, like, help those who are in the most need right now. Not the exclusion of anyone, but it is not unethical to prioritize those who are affected the most. And by the way, my entire journey to help Christians in the Middle East began with Muslims. It was the king of Jordan, a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. If you're a Muslim, you believe that about the king of Jordan, who invited me and asked me and our organization to provide special assistance to Christians and other religious minorities because he believed they had a special threat against them. And so what I love about 100 Huntley Street is we get to talk about the issues of our time. We don't skirt around those issues.
What's
we just deal with it.
And we so appreciate the work that you're doing and your heart to help people. And we admire you and we love to work with you. So thank you so much for sharing about what you do.
It's a privilege.
And here at 100 Huntley Street, we have been helping refugees in Syria and the Middle East with humanitarian aid, and we will continue. And stay tuned in the months ahead. We will tell you more about what we are doing to make a difference, and you will love hearing about that.